Welcome to 1000 PSTV. The S23 is the successor to the already well-known S22 from Bridgestone, which is already a real number for sporty use. As many of you may have already experienced for yourselves, the S22 is a very successful combination of neutral ride, grip, and handling. With the new S23, Bridgestone has now made further updates in some areas, and the question now arises, is new automatically better? To find out and to really get to grips with the new Hypersport tyres, Bridgestone invited us to South Africa to the Racetrack in Kyalami. After the S22 had already been in service unchanged for several years on various motorcycles, Bridgestone had already been working on further improvements in the background. Not that it needed it, but the better is the enemy of the good. That was probably the directive, and so a few changes were made to the S22 base, and the result was called S23. But what exactly are the changes? The most noticeable change is certainly the slightly modified tread pattern. First and foremost, the shape and angle of the tread lines have been adjusted. This should lead to less movement in the tread rubber, especially when leaning. In addition, wear, which is normally greatest at the tread ends, should also be reduced and enable better mileage. Water displacement should also benefit as a result, although the low tread ratios which are typical of Hypersport tyres tend to take a back seat. The next major change is the modification of the rubber compound on the sidewall of the tyre. This should lead to even more grip when leaning and keep it more constant. Like its predecessor, the S23 has 3 compound strips on the front tyre and 5 on the rear. This is an important feature if you want to achieve a soft compound on the sidewall for maximum lean angle grip, coupled with good mileage in the mid-range. With these changes, Bridgestone promises an increase in all main areas such as grip, stability and mileage in both wet and dry conditions. The S23 was primarily developed in the very popular 190/55/17 and 120/70/17 sizes, but will also be available in all other common sizes. The new all-rounder will be available from January 2024. To be able to really push such a sporty tyre to its limits, it is almost impossible to avoid a racetrack test. That's why the racetrack in Kyalami was chosen. For one thing, it is blessed with very even asphalt and an appealing layout, and, most importantly, no black ice as is currently the case on many European racetracks. In addition, Bridgestone equipped a wide variety of bikes with the S23 in the appropriate sizes. They included everything from the latest high-end superbikes and street fighters to entry-level naked bikes. What I liked about the tyre test was that there were no tyre warmers, and the tyres could also be tested when cold. This is an important aspect, especially for road tyres, as hardly any rider will put on the tyre warmers before going to the supermarket. Even if the tyre shines with good grip, even when cold, the first few bends are driven a little more cautiously. Because even though it is a road-legal tyre, it naturally has a higher grip level when it is warmed up. But this is where one of the tyre's major advantages becomes apparent, namely its neutral handling. As already known from the S22, the S23 also steers in without resistance and guides the bike through the bend as if on rails without the need for further steering impulses. Having to make any further steering input. After just one lap on the warm asphalt, the tyre has reached the required temperature on the sidewall and is ready for real lean angles. As predicted by Bridgestone, the tyre shows pronounced stability and feedback, especially in acceleration zones from low lean angles. A real asset, especially for powerful bikes. However, after approx 5 very sharp laps on the current 200-plus horsepower superbikes, There is an initial slight slippage in acceleration. However, this is at a very high level considering the road-legal tires and the brute acceleration force. What is particularly positive, however, is the stability that is achieved during drifts. Even if the rear end moves a little sideways, there is not the slightest bit of unrest, making the lateral drive a pleasure. This calmness also allows the traction controls, which already work on almost all bikes, to show their full potential. A real pleasure even for less experienced riders. Even on naked bikes, which usually have less stability due to their geometry, the S23 helps to ensure composure. Even though these types of bikes tend to react nervously, especially at higher speeds, the 200 km/h curve in Kyalami could be taken at full speed after the long downhill section. The new Bridgestone also impressed in terms of downtime. Although all the riders were really on fire all day on the track, the tyre was unimpressed. Even at the end of the day, there was still plenty of rubber on the tyre and the surface was in perfect condition. However, we were unable to find out how this affects the mileage on the road. For this, the compound in the middle of the tyre would have to be stressed, but this is difficult to do on the racetrack due to its nature. Conclusion on the Bridgestone S23. Bridgestone has really succeeded in further improving the already very good S22. However, you should not expect a revolution, as the predecessor was already too good for that. Some improvements have been made to the details which are particularly noticeable in sporty use. The S23 has therefore more than earned its designation as a hypersport tyre. It is exactly the right companion when it comes to high grip levels on normal roads, good feedback and neutral handling. It is even ideally equipped for trips to the racetrack, even if there is clearly a little more performance here with real racing tyres. However, the S23 can manage without a tyre warmer, and its well-behaved nature makes it an extremely good choice for beginners. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop a comment below. To ensure you never miss out on any of our future videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button and stay connected with us. Stay tuned, because we've got a lot of love and passion to share.